Yeah, thanks guys. Wonderful to have you all here today.
The unmistakable voice of Warriors CEO Cameron George.
Just wanted to announce that on behalf of the One New Zealand Warriors that we have officially sold out of every home game in New Zealand.
It is the only NRL side to have ever achieved that.
Rugby League is back.
What a comeback from being isolated in Aussie during the pandemic.
We were just sort of like, lost people over in Australia for 1,038 days effectively.
But now the club's financially flying.
It's a win to the Warriors in their homecoming.
And the CEO wants to go global. Welcome to Back in Business. I'm your host, Simon Shepherd. This week, go up the walls!
Yeah, it's a huge milestone to achieve.
That's CEO Cameron George looking back on an achievement that no other NRL side has managed, selling out every home game in a season.
It comes with a lot of planning, a lot of hard work, a lot of support from our fan base, but none greater than just having great staff that are creative, innovative, and our game day experience is second to none. And we wanted it to be the hottest ticket in entertainment and sport in New Zealand, and I feel like we've achieved that along the way. But to be the only NRL club that's sold out for the entire season is truly amazing, and just full credit to our staff and fans.
In numbers, that's 11 home games and 260,000 tickets. Is discounting tickets a key to create that momentum? You come to a game, you get a discount to go to the next game?
I don't know whether it's called discounting, but it's certainly meeting the market and the demand. You can price your tickets whatever you feel like is appropriate, but if they're not being sold, you're not meeting the market, in my view. So for us, it's about rewarding our fans, our loyal fans, and families and young kids. And when you meet the market and make it attractive, you see families just flock through the gates, and that's what we wanted. We want to really go after the next generation of fans for our sponsors and players.
Yeah, is selling out Mount Smart comparable to an Aussie team's trying to sell out their stadium? Is Mount Smart the same size? I mean, is it comparable?
They all vary. Some stadiums are the same size, some are smaller, some are bigger. But the challenge is consistently selling it out, and regardless of the size of the stadium. But it's we have a lot of people that miss out. You argue that you need to go to a bigger stadium, but it's more of that no, I'm happy with what we've got, and you need to get in early or become a member of the club to get your seats for next season, and that's the position we're getting to.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, do you want a bigger stadium? Do you want to try and expand the seating here?
Not really. The way the stadium's laid out, we have some wonderful opportunities for activations, in behind the goalposts and so forth. And when you go to stadiums that don't have that capability or the space to do it, it's quite a boring game day, to be fair.
At this point, you may hear the Warriors in the background. They've just come in to use the gym, which just happens to be right next door to the room we're recording in.
Up the walls!
Do you think the Warriors are now more popular than the All Blacks?
The All Blacks are the All Blacks, mate. They are up there, they're the pinnacle, and they should be. We respect them, we respect the Kiwis. They're the national brands, the national sporting teams, and we never ever strive to,
you don't want to knock them off.
Knock the All Blacks or the Kiwis off. No. But, on a week-to-week competition basis, we want to be the number one pick for people who want to go to and enjoy a day out and a game. And that's what the NRL's bringing to town. The sport's really exciting, the game's great, it's fast, it's innovative, and we've got to match it off the field. And with those things aligned, we feel like we're the best sporting ticket in New Zealand.
So this is a business podcast, right? So let's do some sums, okay? So once you take away all the number of season ticket holders that you have, how many tickets are you selling out to each game?
Yeah, well, we're roughly selling out about 12,000 to 13,000 tickets.
Right, and what does that earn you if you sell out a stadium?
Yeah, they all vary because of the offerings that we provide out there. But look, it certainly places us very good in financial terms, it's much better than selling only 5,000 tickets, let me tell you.
But you can't give us a figure as to what a full stadium is worth.
We're talking in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, but that's only one part of the whole cycle of the business. And you've got your merchandise, and then you've got your people that engage and sponsors and so forth. So, to make One New Zealand, really happy and tick, along with all of our other partners, is to make sure we have high energy and high attendance at every game. And, when we meet those great metrics, sponsors just start to flock to you because they want to engage and activate in venues like this with thousands of people. So, the ticket revenue you're referring to is only one part of the whole cycle that the business.
You also talked about merchandising as well. Is that humming at the moment?
Flying. It's a byproduct of having so many people engaging with your club.
What's a word to describe how the commercial arm of the Warriors is going right now?
It's been the best it's ever been.
Do you financially benchmark yourself against any of the other Aussie clubs?
Yeah, the NRL across the board, we do a lot of benchmarking and so forth, but they're different markets, and that's why I don't really care about what the other clubs are doing. I just care about what our market's doing, and that's really important in our field. And I suppose in many other sectors, that everyone tries to compare yourself with Australia and other cities or whatever it be. Just focus on New Zealand. Like, if we can all be the best we can be in New Zealand, it makes the market really competitive, and it makes the market stronger. Why am I worried about what's happening in Brisbane when it's a completely different market, or Melbourne or Sydney where there's 9 different clubs? I just want to be the best sporting ticket and organisation in New Zealand. If we can achieve that, I feel like that's making the New Zealand sporting landscape stronger because of the competitive nature.
Cameron George was brought on as CEO in 2017 by then owner Eric Watson. It was one of the club's worst seasons. Watson then sold it to the Carlaw Heritage Trust and Mark Robinson of Ortex Industries, who later became the sole owner. Challenging times which paled once COVID hit in 2020.
We have moved to fight by going hard and going early.
But if you look back at the COVID period, I know the NRL was thinking that a couple of clubs might go bankrupt. How close did it get for the Warriors to carry on?
Yeah, well, without Mark Robinson, our owner, we wouldn't be where we're at now, 100%.
He just propped it up?
Yeah, 100%. And, not only financially, but just emotionally. He supported us like you wouldn't believe through the darkest of dark times. And me personally, he picked me up so many times, and we quite often found ourselves together, alone, fighting the world, and predominantly the government of New Zealand with their border closures, and the NRL were very supportive, but there was none greater in support than Mark Robinson to myself and the club. And there's plenty of businesses that scrape through, and that's probably a good way of putting it. It was more important for me is how we're going to rebound out of that, and that's where the hard work started.
Because it was 1,038 days away. It must leave a bit of a scar.
Oh yeah, mate. It was difficult because normally when you hit a bit of a challenge or a crisis or something like that, you can pick up the phone and speak to someone that's been through something of a similar nature, or there's a manual that people can pick up and read and get you out of it, or you can talk to someone, but no one had been through this before, and so I couldn't just pick up the phone and ring someone and go, "How did you handle it when you went through it?" Because everyone was, a first timer through this COVID period. And the other thing is that we were a little bit different in New Zealand in compared to Australia in terms of lockdowns and so on. So, we felt like a bit of an outlier, is that, we couldn't get back into our country, but you could fly interstate in Australia, or you could fly to other parts of the world and so on. And we were just sort of like, lost people over in Australia for 1,038 days effectively. And, it certainly challenged me as a leader, but you wouldn't have done it without the support of the players, their families and the staff. But look, it doesn't make us heroes because everyone went through it, and a lot of people got out of it, which was great. There's a lot of sad stories from it. But it was certainly an interesting time.
Did it ever get close to calling it quits?
Yeah, there was a couple of times really early, like I'm talking 2020, through that April period and May period where, May 28 was the start date for the competition, and we'd finished on around that sort of mid-March, and we got back into the country. We were in lockdown here, unlike Australia.
Yeah.
And, there were some massive challenges there because we had to, when no one was flying internationally, we had to sought permission to fly international out of this country, leave lockdown out of this country into international airways where it was closed. Not only got federal permission from Australia, but also had to get state permission from the governments around what state we flew into, and then we had to fly into the exact town we were staying at for 2 weeks. And so we flew internationally into Tamworth, which has never had an international flight before. So there's all these challenges around just getting there, let alone when we got over there about what we had to go through.
Yeah.
And at those points, we were in the hands of the Prime Minister of Australia with the, the international border control about whether or not we could actually even get in the country. So it wasn't until the morning we left, on the 3rd of May it was, that Peter Volandis rang me like at 6 o'clock in the morning saying he'd just received from Peter Dutton, who was the Immigration and Border Control Minister at that point, permission for us to fly in, thankfully, because we were leaving at 10 o'clock that morning.
So close.
Yeah.
So close.
But that's the extreme we had to go to and get permission to come into the competition.
They have been waiting for their chance to erupt. This Warriors crowd, 26,009 people in the stadium.
Fast forward 3 seasons, 1,038 days to July 2022. Finally, the Warriors come home.
It's a win to the Warriors in their homecoming.
If you cast your mind back to the homecoming game, 26,000 fans at Mount Smart, huge moment. Was it also a huge financial sigh of relief?
Yeah, it was. You got to understand, we weren't able to sell tickets, memberships, the lot, and our members got 2 years of free membership, basically 3 years nearly of just the same membership, and so we couldn't sell tickets like any other clubs. We didn't have home grounds. We couldn't sell memberships because we didn't have a fan base per se over there like we do here. We couldn't sell corporates and so on and so on. So our whole business model was just stripped back to just surviving and playing a game of footy. So to come back and make some revenue by selling tickets and
novel
merchandise
idea. Yeah, that's right.
And so on was amazing. But all that stuff aside, it wasn't about that. It was about just reconnecting with our home, our fan base, and that day was it was so emotional for a lot of people. Everyone sort of thought it compared to the first game in '95, but for me that was a celebration because we're launching a team and a club and all that sort of thing. But this had a different feel about it for me. It was an emotional week. Because there's so many people in the stands that we just so desperately needed to see their team again, and everyone in the club was so desperate to see the fans again, and so it was a different day, and it wasn't about the revenue; it was purely about the reconnection.
So if you fast forward to now, because we've talked about the success, the commercial arm, and the fans coming back, and the innovation, your costs are going up as well, though, aren't they? I mean, you've got how many squads? 5 squads?
Yep.
200 players under contract?
Yeah,
roughly?
look, we've got
You've got the Wahinis launching soon?
Yeah, we have. We've got to grow our business. In sport, the best thing you can do is develop and provide opportunities for kids coming through and build from within rather than keep bringing from outside. That costs you a lot in terms of your salary cap and so forth. So we're committed to developing our pathways really strongly, and we want every player wearing our jumper in years to come being homegrown and developed here through our systems, and so that does come with a lot of cost. We've been fortunate with the support from Mark again. He's just as passionate as what I am about being homegrown around our players of the future. So we've done that by putting a total of 5 teams in, from under 17s right through to NRL. With that, we've got to find facilities. So we've bought some industrial property with gym. We've set up gyms in it for the kids, and we've bought residential properties that'll 6, 7, 8 bedroom homes that we house kids with housing parents and that. So we're building a balance sheet as well as creating facilities for ourselves.
Building an asset base to support all this.
Yeah, because that was another learning from COVID. We just were so reliant on our owners' support as well as the NRL funding, but we've had a couple of good years. We've been able to invest that money into an asset-based strategy, and we're doing so. And as you know, we're venturing in the hospitality game as well.
That's right. You're opening a bar soon, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. So we're doing all this so in the future to come we can generate enough revenue from non-football assets that will continue to be invested into our football strategy. And whilst it might be costing now, both met with success of the future by on-field results with our asset-based revenue, we should have a very good, strong business.
So that should be sustainable. But I wonder whether you've ever thought about going the All Blacks route and thinking about some private equity.
Not really. I don't think Mark's got that interest in it. Look, it's certainly valuable. We're one of 17 at the moment. If that gets to 20, we're one of 20 in the NRL, in the world with a licence for an NRL. So, the asset value of the licence is truly
well, that's right. I mean, you could globally monetise that brand,
right.
couldn't you?
Yeah, but look, we've got an owner that's so passionate about winning for New Zealand, and you start to commercialise that reason for why you own the club, you start to dilute that passion. And when you dilute that passion, let me tell you, during the COVID thing, passion was the only thing that kept us together. I don't want to see that diluted. Now, he may down the track look at that option, but right now we've got so much to build on. We're going after it, and we get a few door knocks though.
Do you? Yeah. People knocking saying, "Can I have a
It's
slice
a great
of action?"
opportunity, and we're a very well positioned club now with a strong balance sheet, which is important.
Is that why building that brand globally, like Las Vegas is coming up next year? The Warriors are playing their free-to-air TV in the States, massive market. Is that a real opportunity for the brand? Yeah,
look, you got to question why we're going to Las Vegas, of course. But look, go back 2 years ago, the NRL said we want to take on this opportunity to grow the game. If they can crack it in the States through subscriptions and wagering and the likes, it will benefit the club. So we all had to commit at that stage about, we're in, we'll go for it. It's a 5-year plan. Every club has to go. So year one, I was a little bit, I don't want to be the guinea pig that went in year one and worked out what all the mistakes were and what was wrong. I think year two's always, doesn't matter what it is always a really good year to be a part of something, because you're either going to escalate really quickly or it'll hold its own and fall away in years 3, 4 and 5. So year two's a good option. And then
strategic year two, right?
Yeah, and then it's like, why are we doing it? Like, I feel like the club deserves to be put on a global stage. We've got a lot of support around. There's a big expat market in the States, relating to the Kiwis and Pacific Islands, and we will have a great following there. And I just think that our brand will resonate a lot with the American public.
So let's pick up on that. What do you mean your brand will resonate with the American market? What is it about the Warriors brand that would resonate with
Because we have a culture. So Canberra don't. No. Every other club has an Australian culture. We have our own identity, our own culture. We're the only club in the NRL that can bring to the table a different culture in the NRL. So, to me, that will connect really well with the American public. It'll do wonders for New Zealand. We can expose this great country through sport to America. And being now on free-to-air as well, into 120 million homes potentially, that's massive. So, I think we've got so much to offer, and I think the club will benefit from it, and I think New Zealand can benefit from it. So, we've got to take this seriously now, which we're putting a massive plan together around doing our own thing up there to grow our brand in the States, because equally, if we can crack it up there, merchandise sales and the likes can be huge. And there's no reason why we can't.
Just finally, before I let you go, last year, 2023, up the wires.
Up the wires.
The was.
I was asking people on the street, who are you going to vote for? 2 of them said up the wires.
How do you keep that momentum up when the team doesn't perform as well on the field? I mean, how do you expect next year to roll out?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's one that probably can't just put your finger on the exact answer. We just need to keep working hard, keep integrity in our brand, and keep engaging right across the board with both young fans, established fans and new fans, trying to attract them and being commercially savvy in the marketplace. And our ambition is to be number 1 in New Zealand again. We continue to do that. We continue to get the crowds and the commercial support, be innovative, and not let our brand be controlled by on-field performances. We want to be in the entertainment market as much as the sporting market, and that's what our focus is with off-field activity.
And that's it for this episode of Back in Business. All the audio links are available in the podcast description. Thanks to Creative Director Michael Hickmott and content producers Joseph Hisayasu and Jake Latham. For more comprehensive and breaking business coverage, you can subscribe at nbr.co.nz. Our next Back in Business episode drops on Thursday. I'm Simon Shepherd, and we'll catch you then.